How's it going, guys, and welcome to this early access look at the Tomb Kings DLC. In this 1v1 match, I'll be playing the Tomb Kings led by the High Queen Khalida. And guys, I'm going to be facing off against Indie Pride, Milk and Cookies Total War, who's going to be playing the Wood Elves led by the mighty Mel Gibson. So guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So the first thing I want to point out is actually, I never noticed this in the couple of games I played, but I think her staff is moving. Is that like a... Is that okay? I can't even tell if that's moving. It's yes, okay, it's definitely moving. That's actually a snake staff, which is pretty cool. But aside from that, let's go ahead and take a look at the army. Sorry, I got a little bit carried away there, but damn, these maps are so, like, one of the things you guys are probably going to notice when you start getting into multiplayer or campaign or anything like that is the Tomb Kings maps are awesome. Like, just the background, especially like the Black Temple map, like there's so much cool stuff. So definitely, you know, if you just have a moment before you get into some quick battles or multiplayer campaign, just go into custom battles and look at some of the maps. They are really, really well done. But aside from that, in the front line, I wanted to treat this a little bit like the Skaven versus Wood Elves. So you have a somewhat durable front line. So the Tomb Guard are the most elite infantry option. I think there is a regiment of renown of these guys that's a little bit stronger, but they're the strongest infantry option available to the Tomb Kings. They do have 50 armor. So not much armor. They're still going to be susceptible to fighting against like war dancers and things like that who hit really hard against light armor, but they have better, defensive stats. So 41 melee defense, 42 weapon strength, which is pretty good, and 32 melee attack. Of course, silver shields are going to be quite useful as well. But one of the main things about Tomb Kings infantry is they have horrible charge bonuses. So honestly, if you're playing Tomb Kings and you forget to, get their charge off, don't feel too bad. It's not going to make much of a difference, but they're going to be in my front line here. I do have 3 of those guys kind of spread out. In the secondary line, I do have the Ushapti with the Great Bows, definitely my favorite unit on the Tomb Kings roster. And these guys are basically like artillery pieces. They hit incredibly hard. And I noticed that when they shoot at infantry, it looks like their arrows like shoot up and then they split out into kind of a spray of fire. And they're pretty good against, you wouldn't think they're good against Wood Elves. You're like, why would you need armor-piercing missiles against Wood Elves? Well, number one, if they decide to get a little bit wild and use Dirthy or anyone like that, these guys will cut them down pretty quick. And on top of that, they have enough range to counter skirmish the Wood Elves. So if the Wood Elves are kind of circling you with Glade Riders, you can just sit back with these guys using their 255 range and just mow them down. Definitely a very strong choice. In the middle, I do have the Regiment of Renown of Skeleton Archers, the Blessed Legion of Fakth. They do have the Armor Sundering, so they're basically like Rusty Arrows. I figured they're just like too good to pass up. Like Mel Gibson only has 30 armor, so taking 30 armor off him is going to make him extremely squishy. So I do have the High Queen Khalida, which I think is pretty good. She's really fast. Not really fast, but she has 66 speed. She's durable. She's a great duelist. So against Orion or Glades or things like that you really want to hunt and isolate, I think it's pretty good. She would struggle maybe a little bit against Dirthy, but she still has really solid armor-piercing values at 315. I think her and Arkan are the most competitive picks by far. They're both very, very powerful in their own right, but she has Venom Wave. She also has the My Will Be Done, Blessing of Soph here. So this is a cool ability. So anyone in this aura, if you want to use her as kind of a battle, a backline commander that's just defending, she can give missile damage, reload skill, and armor-piercing missiles. So if you park her like right here, she can give some good buffs. So I brought it just in case the game came down to that. And she does have her curse, so when she drops below 50%, she's going to buff everyone up. I do also have a Lich Priest with the Lore of Light, so I do have Nets of Amnitok, and I just wanted to try out Barona's Time Warp. Nets of Amnitok did get nerfed, so it's now a single target ability. It no longer is an AoE unless you overcast it. I definitely think it's fine nerf. That ability was kind of abusive anyways. I do have some Skeleton Horsemen, the Ushapti, Chosen of the Gods, Regiment of Renown. It has the Shield Break ability. Necropolis Knights with Halberds over there, and I think they're my only anti-large, but they're basically like Demogryph Knights, so I figured they would be a very, very hard counter against Wild Riders. And the Screaming Skull Catapult, which I showed you guys earlier, it does actually have a Discourage ability, so it takes away 8 leadership, which is okay. Would also have good leadership, but I figured I was going to be kind of turtling using the Ushapti Great Bows and my artillery, so I really wanted to force him to come to me. For his army, he does have 2 groups of Wild Riders, a front line of Eternal Guard. He has War Dancers, Azrai Spears. He does also have the Mighty Mel Gibson in the back. 2 groups of Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts, and that's pretty much it. So without further ado, guys, let's party. Let's have some fun. He also does have some Wildwood Rangers, so my artillery piece is going to be shooting some spooky skulls at my opponent, and you can see the Ushapti bows. They spread like that. It's kind of a spread fire, and they seem to do really well against single target, but you can just see these War Dancers are just getting pinned to the ground by these arrows, and I think, do they turn into snakes? Like serpents? I don't even know, but regardless, they're doing a ton of damage against these guys. Definitely a very, very strong unit. I recommend you guys try them ASAP when you get this show on the road. So my archers are going to be shooting in at the first available target. I will be switching them to the Azrai Spears. In the meantime, I'm going to be using one group of regular Ushapti I brought. These guys obviously aren't meant against Cav, but they're too heavily armored for Wild Riders to deal with. So I was like, all right, I don't have any anti-Cav over here, so let's just screen them with Ushapti and Skeleton Warriors. Definitely going pretty well. I do have my Necropolis Knights with the Halberds screening out these Wild Riders, and the fighting is underway. So on the front line, it's looking pretty spooky for sure. The Tomb Guard are in pretty good shape. Haven't taken any damage, and they're going against very, very tattered infantry. You can see across the board, a lot of these Wood Elf troops, the War Dancers, at half health, which is brutal. So once the infantry fight actually started, I decided to set my Ushabti bows on the glade guards in the back just to kind of outrange them and wear them down, which is definitely nice. And what's really cool about these guys, the bowmen here, is they have 50 movement speed. So if you want to run away, you can and just kind of reposition. So my lord is going to be surfing in here on our serpent. Definitely not meant for like taking out blobs of infantry. She's more of a duelist. You can see the mighty Mel Gibson is on the hunt, and there's also some Azrai spears. So as soon as I see that, I'm like, oh boy, I got to get out of here ASAP. In the back, I do use my AoE blast right there. What you see does pretty good damage against lightly armored targets. And over here, you can see the Wild Riders are trying to kind of sneak around. And I did send the Ushabti in the front line, and they have some really cool animations. I think they actually decapitate like some units when they attack them, demonetized. But yes, anyways, they're going to keep fighting in here. Yeah, doing a pretty good job against these Eternal Guard for sure. Definitely proud of the guys. In the meantime, my Skeleton Warriors are kind of circling around the flank. And he did actually, I think I was trying to cast a net, but unfortunately he was out of range. So I wasn't able to do that. Over here on the far side, you can see my Chosen of the Gods are getting peppered by the Glade Guard, so I simply just fall back. I'm trying to fall back out of range, and you can see my Spooky Catapult is going to be shooting at these guys. 3 misses. Definitely rough. But Mel Gibson has gotten into the cookie jar. You can see he's overextended a little bit, which is good and bad for me. He does fend off my archers, but I do have some pretty strong units here. So the Ushabti Great Bows are very powerful in melee. They still have 65 weapon strength with heavy AP. So now it's time for Khalida to just duel Mel Gibson. You can see he's getting peppered by my archers, so that puts his armor to 0. He does get the charge on me because I think I missed him actually attacking there, but I do turn and fight him. The High Queen Khalida applying poison, and those withering archers from the back from the Blessed Legion is just putting him down. He was just straight up getting dumpstered. He does also charge in with some cap here in the back, so Indy Pride got a really nice charge. But unfortunately, I did pop the net of Amnitok, and I sent my Ushabti bows in melee, as well as some of my Skeleton Warriors, so we should be able to just pin down these Wild Riders and finish them off once and for all. So the net of Amnitok did come in a little bit handy there, kind of allowing me to get that isolation. In the meantime, Mel Gibson is fighting tooth and nail against High Queen Khalida, but he's just getting peppered by the Blessed Legion back there, and also getting chased by this duelist, and she's actually faster than him, so she can actually keep up with him, and you can see she's surfing on her serpent there. Hits really hard, and you can see the Ushabti bow, the Chosen of the Gods coming in, and they actually knock him over. It looked like he died there. Freedom! Just getting hunted by all these guys. Very well played by Indy Pride here, getting the Azrai Spear supporting, so it's going to provide some anti-large and armor piercing. And you can see my Ushabti, they have, look at them when they die, they just like freeze and collapse. That is so cool. So they're going to be fighting some War Dancers here, which is a horrible engagement with Azrai Spears. So I immediately just, I'm like, I got to get out of here. They're crumbling. Mel Gibson's on the run, though, and you can see the High Queen Khalida is just hot in pursuit, just chasing him down, just surfing through the desert, and I think he's full speed now. Yeah, he's 67, but he's going to get attacked there, and yeah, he's got about 600 HP. But like I said, she's a very strong combatant. I think had the archers not been shooting Mel Gibson, he might be able to beat her. It's hard to say. It would be a pretty close fight. He is unbreakable, but so is she. I mean, she would crumble, obviously, but I send my Skeleton Horsemen over here, the Burning Skulls, or the Screaming Skulls, whatever. What are those things called again? The undead spooky souls. I gotta check, or else it's just gonna bother me. So they're the Screaming Skull. Where is it? Yes, Screaming Skull kind of. So Mel Gibson has about 100 HP. He does have the Cloak of Bishop, but we should be able to finish him off here. I wonder if she has any like cool animations. Oh, looks like her serpent just kind of spit something at him, and down goes Mel Gibson as he yells freedom. So, so far, the balance of power is starting to shift in my favor, especially after his Lord does go down. Indy Pride responds in kind, with his Wild Riders getting a pretty good countercharge on High Queen Khalida here. And the High Elves do have a bit of a blob here, so they have some Wildwood Rangers, some Eternal Guards, things like that, but I still have quite a bit of a kind of elite troops. So the Ushabti bows are going to be pretty strong in melee versus these guys. I think I have some of the Halberd cap as well, so they should help out, but he does have a lot of anti-large. Over here, I do have my Tomb Guards coming in, and these ones are somewhat healthy. 49 models here, 109 Skeleton Warriors, and of course, I do have some heavy punching power with these guys. And I should be getting my Realm of Souls relatively soon, which will heal my army, and it will also give me access to summoning another group of these guys. I feel like I've said that word like 1,000 times in these guys. They're all over the place. But the Wood Elf troops are starting to kind of scatter. You can see the Tomb of Souls is about to reach the 3rd threshold, which is going to heal my entire army. It actually does resurrect as well, so very similar to Invocation of Nehek, and it will also allow me to summon some of these bad boys, which will really be the icing on the cake. So over here on the far side, you can see the War Dancers and everyone are fighting a pretty desperate fight. They're fighting against these big scary. They're literally surfing on snakes. They're literally surfing on snakes. So the Realm of Souls comes in. I do have access to my Ushabti summon now, but at this point, it's not really going to be helpful as the battle is pretty much over. So very well played. Mel Gibson got a little bit overzealous and was able to get isolated by High Queen Khalida, but really I think it was archers, that like group of the. It's basically they're just like the Rustiers with a little bit more range. Like they have 140 range compared to I think 120 of the goblins. They do cost quite a bit. I think they're like 800 or 900, which is really expensive compared to regular skeleton archers. The Great Bows, obviously, very solid. I mean, they wore down the War Dancers. They were able to fight in melee. I think they're probably my favorite unit on the roster. Tomb Guards did their job, very similar to using like Storm Vermin against Wood Elves. You want that kind of more substantial front line in case they go with War Dancers and that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was definitely quite a bit of fun. So yeah, well played to my opponent, Indy Pride. Make sure to go check out his channel, Milk and Cookies Total War, We have a couple more battles coming. I think we're reaching the tail end. I think we played 6 games in total. Don't want to spoil the outcome, so you guys stay tuned. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have an excellent night, and take care.